So, can lawyers use Claude or ChatGPT without breaching client confidentiality? I know, guys, that this is a very hot topic at the moment because of AI, of course. And here I wanted to make an overview of the confidentiality state of those two companies. Okay. First of all, I'm not a lawyer. Okay. I did that video because I know that many of you guys are a bit confused because everything evolved very quickly. And some of you guys might be wondering, do I use AI right? Do I break client confidentiality? And I did that video to hopefully make all of this a bit less confusing. So as you might already know, guys, when you paste client information into an AI, which could be ChatGPT or Claude, as you use it with the app or the web interface, on some situations, you want to make sure that the companies like OpenAI or Anthropic don't train on it. I'm sure that you guys know that better than me, but you have the ABA model rules, which says that a lawyer shall not reveal information relating to the preservation of a client unless the client gives informed consent. And most of the time, this is not the case. And you have the C section that says that a lawyer shall make reasonable effort to prevent the inadvertent or unauthorized access to information relating to the representation of a client. So what makes reasonable effort means? That's what we are going to see here, guys. At the moment, most of you guys use ChatGPT or Claude as described in that example here with the chat interface. So the chat interface can be the Claude or OpenAI app that you can open here on your computer, or it can also be when you go online on Google and you just type ChatGPT like this, okay? And then you can prompt it and talk with it, okay? So this is the chat version of the app. And by default, the data that you put here in that app are used to train OpenAI and Anthropic models. And I'm going to show you in one moment how you can disable that behavior so you are a bit more compliant. But before that, I'm going to explain to you guys how the second way to use Claude or ChatGPT works, because if you want to implement some automations in your company, this is very important that you understand how API works. So I'm going to explain to you how this works, okay? And I'm going to give you a very simple example. Let's say that you ask to another company to develop for you guys a custom CRM, okay? A software where you will put all your clients' informations as well as their files and all the informations you have for them. So once that software is developed and you start to use it, you then realize that you want to use AI inside it because it would be so easy to have a little chat box in your software where you can ask some questions about a client's case or stuff like that. In that case, what you will do is you will go to your Anthropic or OpenAI account. Here, I'm going to show you that with Anthropic, okay? You will go to your dashboard here and you will get an API key, okay? So you can see here, there is a menu with API key. You will generate a new key here. That key is something private, only you will have, okay? So you can, for example, say my custom CRM, okay? And then you will get that kind of key, okay? You can copy the key and you will put that key in your software. Of course, you won't do that yourself. That's the company that built the software for you that will do it, okay? But once they done that, you will now be able to use your OpenAI or Anthropic subscription in your own software. Because as you might know, you won't develop your own AI to be able to use it in your software. You will use the ones that already are built and trained, okay? Otherwise, it would cost you billions of dollars to train your own AI. And then what will happen is that your app will send your message to the OpenAI or Anthropic side. Your message will be processed there, okay? And then it will reply to you with the answer that you asked for. So when you will send informations to them, you will send your prompt as well as your customer information, okay? And that's what I want to talk about here, because in that case, they won't train their model with your data. So to summarize, those are two different ways to use AI. And if you go to ChatGPT or Anthropic pricing, you will see that here you have the ChatGPT, for example, plans, okay, the one that you guys are using for now. And here you have the API tiers, okay? And here you see that the pricing is different because you will pay per message that you send and you receive. You won't pay a fixed amount per month, okay? Now that this is clear, guys, I'm going to explain to you what here is compliant and what it is not. So here on both sides, you will have some plans that start around $20, okay? So here you will see that Claude Pro starts at 17 and ChatGPT starts at 20. So here for ChatGPT, you will have the basic business plan, which is this one, okay? And as I just explained, your chats may train the model unless you opt out. And here I'm going to show you guys how you can opt out. It's very simple. You just go to ChatGPT here in the web interface or in your application, and then you can click here. You go to settings, you go to data controls here, and then here it says improve the model for everyone. You have to turn that off, okay? And here, if you click it, you will see that allow your content to be used to train our models, which makes ChatGPT better, etc. So here you want to make sure that that toggle here is off, okay? And if it is off, you are now a bit more compliant. In a moment, I'm going to show you the same things for Claude, okay? But before I do that, I want to show you here the business, enterprise, and API plan. Because on those plans here, as you can see, you will need to pay $25 at the time of this video per person, okay? So if you have a team of 10 people, you will pay $250 per month. If we come over here, you will see the team and enterprise tiers here. I wanted to show you this, guys, because with those plans here, you will see that no model training on your content by default will be enabled, and you will have more options to be even more compliant that I'm going to explain to you guys in a minute. So this is for the team plan, okay? And then you have the enterprise plan, which gives you even more possibilities. For example, if your data must be hosted somewhere in a particular country, for example, you can do that with the enterprise plan. Plus, you can get a real contract with OpenAI or with Anthropic that you will be able to negotiate in terms of data privacy. And again, I'm going to explain to you that in 1 minute. Then you have the plans for Anthropic Claude, okay? So for the free, pro, and max personal plans, which cost from $20 to $200 per month, again, since August 2025, chat may train Claude unless you opt out. And here I'm going to show you guys how you can opt out. So you can go to your Claude desktop app or in the web interface. In the same way, you will click here and then into settings. You will see that you have the privacy icon, and here you will have the help improve our AI models. You want to make sure that that toggle here is off as well. And if it is off, they won't train on your chat data. And here it is a bit different because at Anthropic, opt-in allows up to 5 years data retention, okay? I think it is a bit less with OpenAI. And here again, you have the team, enterprise, and API plans, okay? And those plans here guarantee you that no model training in your content by default again. And with those plans here, you will be able to get some upgrade like zero data retention and also DPA that I'm going to explain just now. I'm going to start with the DPA, which is a signed data agreement. So let's say that you guys just went to the settings and turned the toggle off to make sure you opt out. The promise that OpenAI and Anthropic do is that they won't use your data because it is in their policy, okay? But as you guys might know, policies can change. It happened before and it will happen again, okay? So that's why the DPA is better, because there you can have a contract, okay, that will ensure that your data won't be used. So what it is, a signed contract where the AI company agrees in writing to handle your client's data only to run the service, not for its own use, okay? And of course, to keep it confidential. It matters because, as I just explained, a policy page can change quietly. A DPA is enforceable with breach notice and deletion on demand. So let's say that you use AI on a divorce case with financial records. If you ever have to show that you protected the data, the signed DPA is your documented proof, okay? So this is, of course, better than just explain that you turned the toggle off. And then the upgrade number 2 is the zero data retention. So in that case, if you ask for it, nothing is stored at all, okay? So the model reads your prompt, sends the answer, and keeps no copy, no logs, nothing on the disk. It matters because if nothing is stored, nothing can be handled later, okay? So even if court order force you to show the data, there is no data to show because nothing was recorded there, okay? So if you guys are on one of the basic plans, okay, which I just showed you here or here, the bad news is that you cannot get the zero data retention or the DPA because those are only available on the business, team, or API version. So on the consumer plans, so the Plus, Pro, and Max plans, you can just toggle the training off, as I just explained. But if you guys want to be even more compliant, you have to have a business or team plan. And of course, API is one of the most important because if you ask to someone like me to build you an automation in your company, for example, to fetch some documents in your email box and to put those documents automatically in the right customer folders on your drive or something like that, I would use the API here. So that way, they don't train on your data, okay? And then you can get the zero data retention and the DPA, which is the best you can do. And the last one here is the enterprise plan. I don't think that you guys need that because here you can negotiate and get a tailored contract between you and the AI companies. That can be useful in some cases, but for most of you guys, one of those is enough. And here, guys, I'm going to talk to you about one more very important information. Even if you use all the things that I just explained, never stored is an overclaim. Why? Because even of the safe tiers, so the team's enterprise plans, a short sample is kept for safety, usually up to 30 days. It is kept for abuse checks, never to train the model. So even if you turn off the setting to avoid your data to train their models, a portion of it will stay for 30 days to cover those cases here. And the only way to avoid that is to turn on the zero data retention, which is again available only on the team and enterprise and API plans. So the 30-day rules is not the same everywhere. At OpenAI is more or less 30 days for safety. Then the data are deleted. And if you get the zero data retention, the data are never logged. At Anthropic, API by default don't keep any retention data unless the content you send through the API is flagged for abuse. In that case, the data can stay there up to 2 years. And maybe, guys, you've heard of the OpenAI New York Times case, okay? Because all those rules here can be overridden by a court order. So in 2025, the New York Times got a court order to force OpenAI to preserve all user data, even deleted chats, okay? So consumer and standard API were swept in past the 30-day deletion. But of course, if you have enterprise and zero data retention, there is nothing stored, which means that nothing can be handed over. Later, the blanket order was lifted, but this is a lesson for everybody. The best protection you can get is the zero data retention. So of course, guys, again, this is not a legal advice. You should check all of this with your state bar because according to where you are located, those rules can be interpreted differently. And that allows me to make the transition to introduce myself. I'm Osman. I'm a web developer specialized in AI automations for law firms, and I create content like this every week to show you guys what can be done with automations, the time and money that you can get back every month by automating repetitive and low value tasks. So if you guys like that kind of content, you can subscribe to the channel so you don't miss anything. But now let's get back to the video. There is something very important that you guys have to understand is that AI tools are not different from the tools you are already using, like cloud storage, Clio, e-discovery, or even some IT contractor companies. In all those cases, you are supposed to read the terms and conditions, of course, and make sure that the data storage there don't break any client's privacy. I'm not an expert about all those tools here, but I know that most of the time, the tools gives you the ability to be compliant, okay, but you have to ask for it. And of course, most of the time, when you use an app with a free tier, that means that they take the data to resell it or do something with it. So now here is what you can do according to what you do with AI. So the basic setup would be a commercial or API tier. So again, a commercial tier is the team plans here or the enterprise or API plans. And of course, a signed data agreement, so a DPA. I'm going to show you guys in a moment how you can get that from Anthropic or OpenAI. You can use that for everyday work like drafting, summarizing documents, legal research, and first drafts. And again, if you have a commercial or API with DPA, no training on your data is guaranteed because it's contractually binding. To handle the most confidential matters, the best is to get the zero data retention. So nothing is stored. You can use that for privileged communication, field records, high-profile clients, trade secrets, or criminal matters. So here, nothing is stored means nothing to leak or hand over under a subpoena. And here we have the level 3. Most of the small firms can skip this because here we are talking about HIPAA. So if you handle health data, personal injury, medical malpractice, disability, data residency, so again, if your data must be hosted in one country in particular, and if you have to negotiate very precise terms and admin control, you can do that in the enterprise plans. So now, how can you get the DPA? So on OpenAI business tiers only, that's a very simple process I'm going to show you here. You have the link here, and you have it in the video description. So I'm just going to click, and here there are even more informations about the DPA. And at the very end, you will have the execute data processing agreement link. You click it, and then you just need to fill the form here. And again, here they explain that this agreement is only applicable to the business services. Okay, so enterprise, ChatGPT teams, APIs. For Anthropic, the good news is that this is already in the commercial terms. Okay, so the terms that you can see here. If you make a research, DPA, you will see that they talk about it here. Of course, there are many stuff to read here. I won't go over it, but feel free to read it. But by default, this is included in their commercial terms of service. You can keep a copy of that, but as you can see, they publish all the versions on their website. OpenAI will send you a document. Anthropic won't, but you can keep some screenshots of this and the document from OpenAI to prove your reasonable effort. Okay, so now about the zero data retention. For this, you have to contact OpenAI or Anthropic sales team to request it. There is no easy form like I just show you for the DPA. You just have to contact them by email from their website. Here you can go to openai.com data controls or claude.com contact sales. So that's it, guys. To summarize, on a commercial or API tier, your firm's data isn't used to train the models. You own your inputs and outputs, and assigned data agreements makes it bindings. And of course, guys, if you want to talk about it with me, there is a link into the description. You can book a free call. We can talk about your company, see if there are any low-value tasks that can be automated through the API. So in a compliant way, of course. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.